Hey there, V here. So I decided I would do another segment on my show where I discuss the books that I read for any given month. So somewhere in like the beginning or mid of the current month that we're at, I'll basically just pull out all the books that I read for the previous month, and I'll tell you what I read and give you like just quick thoughts and stuff on each of the books that I read. Basically, yeah, thoughts and review and my ratings and all of that. So yeah, should be fun. Okay, so I'm just gonna go start off, even though I know we're in March when I post this. I'm gonna start off with January just to make it more complete for 2018 and all that. So I'll talk about January, and then probably in like a week or two I'll talk about February, so that way we're on track. But yeah, so in January, I managed to read 5 books. I listened to 4 of them on audio, and then I read one of them as an ebook. Well, it was like an ARC, which is an advanced copy, because I do, like I've said in the past, I review books. So I often get books in advance to read and review. And so that was one of the books that I read for January. And as far as like reading time frames go, it was definitely a slow month for me. Like back when I was really, really into it and that was like all I was doing, I would just breeze through books. I can get like, I don't remember how many I would read in a month, but I know in 1 year I can do well over 100. I think 1 year I even did like over 200 books. So, for only reading 5 books in a month, that's pretty slow for me, but I have slowed down quite a bit over the last couple of years. And like maybe even the last couple of years were just not good reading years for me in general, in terms of what I read. Like I didn't really love a lot of it, but it is what it is. In any case, so I read 5 different books. I'm gonna list the books down in the like information section, and also link you guys to my Goodreads, where you guys can just read my in-depth reviews about each of the books that I read, and all the information's there. But as far as the synopsis for each book and buy links and all that stuff, I'm not going to put that in just yet. I just kind of want to see how it goes. I just want to start off very simple and very kind of a quick thing for you guys, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if you want to learn more about any of the books and my thoughts on them, like I said, more in-depth thoughts, then certainly check out the link to my Goodreads, where you can find all of the books. And then, obviously within Goodreads, there's links to purchase them and more information on the author, and if there's other books within that series and stuff like that. So it's all there. I love Goodreads. Honestly, it's just, I discovered that way back when I started reading again, like consistently, and I love it. It's basically the only way that I can like really catalog all the books that I have and all the ones that I read or want to read. So I love it. I definitely, the bookworm, book lover in me could not live without it. So, okay. Anyways, back to what the subject of today is. So what I read this month, I'm going to just kind of go in order. The first book that I read was Roomies by Christina Lauren. And I have been a long time reader of Christina Lauren, which is actually a pen name for 2 different ladies. They're like best friends and they co-write together. And I've loved some of their books and liked some of their books, but I will say I haven't read all of them. I think there's probably like 2 or 3, probably 2 that I haven't read from them. I just haven't got around to it. But yeah, for the most part, they're a pretty solid team, and I've had mostly positive reactions when reading their books. So I know that I'm like in for a good time, basically, if I'm going to read one of their books, which, yeah, if I see them come out with something, I'm like, oh, I'm right on that. So yeah. Okay. So Roomies is basically a new adult romance. And so new adult is kind of like, I would say maybe late teens, like 19 to early 20s is the kind of age range where it's at. And it's contemporary romance. So, you're just fresh out of high school or fresh out of college, really, or going into college or something like that. And just navigating the world without your parents and falling in love and all of that stuff. So that's basically the gist of New Adult. The overall theme of this book is like one of those fake relationship kind of love stories. The main characters meet each other, and for one reason or another, having a fake relationship will seem to benefit either one person or both of them. And so they end up doing that. And through that fake relationship, they get to know each other better and the chemistry grows, and then they end up falling in love. And then, the relationship isn't so fake anymore. And then obviously there's usually some kind of big thing that they have to go through, like an obstacle or like a misunderstanding, miscommunication, or something that they find out about each other. And that kind of throws everything off balance and they get upset. And then after that, after some time away from each other, they realize that they can't live without each other, and they somehow manage to make it work, and then they get their happily ever after. And that is the basic gist of the fake relationship turned lovers trope. And that's pretty much what you get here. I mean, it's a basic formula, and a lot of authors use it. And I am a big fan of this trope. I think it's really fun watching the couple. Like sometimes they'll even start off hating each other, or other times they could be complete strangers, or other times, it could be that the couple has known each other through one way or another, and then the relationship is just necessary for the time. When they're actually in the relationship together and then watching the whole thing play out, and I especially love seeing them resist the attraction that they usually have for each other, and then when they inevitably get into it, and then them realizing how in love they are and all that, and how good they are together. I think it's always fun to read about. I can see that stuff just playing out very well in like a movie or a TV show or something like that. So I always like that. I always get a kick out of those kinds of books. So talking about this book in particular, though, it kind of missed the mark for me. Like, I just really didn't connect with the couple in general. Like the main couple, her name is Holland, and the guy's name is Calvin. And the reason why they get together is because he is actually an illegal immigrant, and he needs to stay here because, he needs to stay in the U.S., because he's like very musically talented, very musically gifted, and her uncle just happens to be producing this show on Broadway, and they need like a musical talent like him. And so in order for him to stay here, she comes up with a plan of marrying him to give him his green card, obviously, so he can stay here. And then, that's how they start to get to know each other and all that stuff. There's plenty of other details that are going to go into it, but without really getting into it, that's the basic gist. But yeah, I don't know what it was. There was just something about their relationship as a whole that I just couldn't connect with, and I didn't love them together as much as I wanted to. And also, my biggest gripe with the book in general was just, it wasn't resolved as much as I wanted it to be. The ending was pretty abrupt, and I didn't get that big grand gesture that I was hoping for. That tends to happen in these kinds of books, but I feel like anytime that doesn't happen, I don't really like it. So maybe that's like my thing. So I don't know. But yeah, I liked it, but I didn't love it. And it certainly wasn't one of my favorites from the ladies. And so I actually gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. only because I really liked the musical aspect of it. I think Christina Lauren did a good job about painting that picture and really getting me interested in, the music, the musicals, the Broadway musicals and all that stuff. And that side. But as far as the romance goes, they could have done a lot better with the romance and with the couple in general. And yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with the book, especially coming off of the fact that I had recently read another book from them that they came out with last year called Autobiography. Amazing, amazing book. Definitely one of my favorites of 2017, if you guys want to check that out. But I think because if I just came off of that and then I'm going to go read this, and it was kind of a letdown for me. So it wasn't a good book to start off 2018 with. As you'll see later on, the other books I read in January weren't really that great either. So yeah. But yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. It was interesting, but I didn't love the couple, and so the romance fell kind of flat for me. So that's my take on Roomies by Christina Lauren. The second book that I read in January was Every Day by David Levithan, and this one was a very hyped up book way back when it first came out, and I had the book for the longest time, but I just never got around to reading it because I'll be honest with you guys that I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to young adult contemporary romance. I like contemporary, but not when it comes to young adults. Just something about the teens, they just bug me. And so I never could get into it. And just the way the writing style in YA contemporary is just not my thing. I mean, there are a few gems. Honestly, I try to give them the genre a try. And there are definitely a few gems in there that I absolutely love. But for the most part, I'm not the biggest fan. In any case, this one did get super hyped. And there's actually a movie on it based off of the book now. It's actually in theaters right now. And the basic gist is that there's this being that wakes up every day in a new body. So the being, I can't even say that it's a he or she because the gender is non-existent. The being doesn't identify itself as male or female. Like every day that, let me just start off by saying, because I don't want to be calling it. The main character's name is A. So every time A wakes up, it could be in a boy or it could be in a girl. Could be fat, skinny, black, white, Asian. It doesn't even really matter. They're generally within the same vicinity. So, nearness and like location and stuff like that is a factor, but it literally, and age too, within maybe like in a year or two, give or take up or down. That's usually how A finds itself when it wakes up. Yeah, it was a really cool premise, and I was just definitely interested in seeing how like it's a different person every day, but then A manages to fall in love with this girl, Rhiannon, and Rhiannon, I don't know if she'll fall in love with A and how that's going to work out. It's pretty crazy. So I had to give it a read, and I'm sad to say that I was really disappointed. Like, I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. And honestly, that second star was really only because I liked how diverse the book was. Like I said, A can find itself inside a boy or girl, that's fine. But there were so many different types of people in here, different types of races and builds, skinny, fat, and all that. And blind. I remember there was a blind person in there. It was just but Levithan really like ran the gamut of different types of people, and I liked that he highlighted that, and especially in this day and age, it's very important. So I appreciated that. And then that's where the extra star comes from. But the story itself is just, it didn't work for me at all. Honestly, it sucked. I just couldn't get on board with it. I liked the idea of Rhiannon and A falling in love, and A kind of opening up Rhiannon's eyes to a more fluid kind of love, but man, the storyline in itself just really, really sucked. Like, I hated the fact, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but basically there's just no explanation for why A is the way that he is, or it is, basically. And you kind of go through this thinking, okay, why, what's happening, what's going on. The concept is a bit like fantasy, and you kind of it's not reality at all. And so I just was really upset that I didn't get any explanation, any rhyme or reason why, A is the way that it is and what's going on here, And the ending just blew. I was so mad with the ending because what the hell? Like, I just wasted all that time learning about A, and then you just leave me with that kind of ending. And so it was really, really upsetting. And you would think that because of that ending that you would have like a second book to really explain stuff. But no, there is a second book in the series. But how about the second book is basically Rhiannon's perspective of the same story? And that's just total bullshit. I was so mad when I learned that was the case, because like, really, the whole, flip perspective thing has been done before, and it's a hit or miss. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I never really truly love it because you're just reading the same story. If you're going to do that, just write the first book in dual perspectives. Like, come on now, like, stop. You're just wasting my time. But, I'll give it, if he wanted to do that, fine. Just give me the answers that I need in the first book, and I can, if I loved it, then I would go ahead and read Rhiannon's perspective, because otherwise you're just cheating your readers, and it's just total BS. Total BS. I really did not like it at all. So, yeah, they tricked me with that thing. Okay, so I didn't like it. 2 out of 5 stars just because of, how diverse the characters are, but really it's a 1-star rating, and I didn't like it. So that's my take on Every Day by David Levithan. All right, so the third book that I read in January was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. And this is an adult contemporary romance, also like chick lit if you want to further specify it. So I went into this based off of recommendations from other readers. They had read something, what was it called? Oh, Hating You, Dating You, another book by Christina Lauren that I had recently read and I liked. And so I wanted to read something along the same lines as that. And everybody was saying how this one was so much better. And like, it was just amazing. Like, if you like Dating You, Hating You, then you will love The Hating Game. And so I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. And so I went into it and I read it, and I didn't like it. I'll tell you, I did not like it. I gave this one 2 out of 5 stars as well. And I was very, very disappointed in it. So the basic premise of The Hating Game is that it's an office romance love-hate relationship. These two, Lucy and Joshua, they are competing executive assistants, and they're later on down the line, they compete for the same job that their bosses just put out. And through that, they end up falling in love and all that. So yeah, I actually really, really love love-hate relationships, especially office ones, because I think it is so hilarious watching two characters kind of like mess with each other and just really work up their the tension and all of that. It's so much fun. Especially, it's honestly, I go into it just waiting to see what they do to each other, because I need a good laugh. With love-hate relationships, I want a good laugh. I want to see these two push each other to the edge where they can't take it anymore. And then you get that one scene where, like, I'm so sick of you. Like, how can you do this? From both sides. And then they get that crazy look in their eyes, and then bam, they just start making out and start going at each other, tearing each other's clothes off and all that stuff. That's what I expect from a love-hate relationship, particularly an office one. And I just did not get that here. I was very, very disappointed because you know, like I said, all that stuff that I just mentioned, it barely happened in this book. You only get maybe one or two key moments where they mess with each other. And then through it all, it's really just Lucy like pining over Joshua. The physical attraction and obvious like lust that these two had for each other was so blatantly obvious. It just baffled me how, clueless they were about each other. Like, how can you, like, a 4-year-old could see that you guys were in love with each other? I don't know what the author wanted the reader to think, like that. If you wanted me to think that, yes, it was blatantly obvious and these two are too dumb to figure it out, then fine. That's what you managed to make me feel, because how can you not see, like, it's just the whole playground thing where the guy's like kicking the girl or shoving her down because he likes her, and she's just, that's what it is. And it's just so obvious, and it really bugged me. And then also like that girl Lucy just goes on and on and on talking about how hot Joshua is and how she has memorized every little thing about him, like what days he wears certain clothes and how, like, what's on his desk and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, dude, you are seriously obsessed with this guy. It's borderline crazy. Like, you need to step back a bit, because So I go into this book expecting that love-hate office romance. And what I really get, I do get a little bit of that. But what I get is just, this girl is whining and complaining that she wants this job and nobody sees her. But she's also a bit of a pushover. And her office coworker is, such an ass. And but he's so super hot. And, he gives her, once he figures out that she is attracted to him and that she wants him, like, bam, it's over. Like it's not, the fun is gone. I was so disappointed. I just don't understand how everybody could say they got so many good laughs from it and that they loved the love story, because I just could not see it. You might have got like a chuckle from me here or there, but for the most part, I just could not. It wasn't good. And the love, I just couldn't connect with them as a couple. I didn't like them as a couple, and I barely liked them as individuals. So this book was just totally lost to me. Oh God. 2 out of 5 stars for this one. Definitely not my cup of tea. Okay. Moving on. The next book that I read in January was Moonlight Sins by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is an adult contemporary romance. And I actually have a more in-depth review about this book. I'm not sure if this is up before that or not. I have to check my calendar. I'm pretty sure it's after. I believe. I'm pretty sure it's after. So that'll be coming up soon. But suffice it to say, it was a pretty decent read. Jennifer L. Armentrout is one of my auto-buy authors. I really love her and her work. And she definitely does a good job with romance in general. And so I really liked this one. It was a 3 out of 5 stars for me. It's basically about a trio of brothers. They're super rich and very influential. It's set in Louisiana, and this is a series, and there are going to be 3 books in the series, and basically each book revolves around a certain brother. And so this first one, Moonlight Sins, is about the middle brother, Lucien, and they end up having this nurse fly in and to help take care of his twin sister. And that's where they fall in love, and you get to watch them fall in love. And then there's also other mysterious crazy stuff that's going on within their family, and you there is that little bit of mystery in there, so you learn a little bit of that, but then mostly you focus on the relationship between Lucien and the nurse, whose name is Julia. And so it was fun watching them fall in love. I wouldn't say they were my favorite couple, but it was interesting. So yeah, I wouldn't say middle grade. It was a very like run-of-the-mill kind of romance. But I'm definitely curious to learn about the other brothers. And, Jen is just, you always get a good experience with Jen's books anyways. So, it was okay. I would say out of all of the books that I read in January, probably Moonlight Sins would be my favorite if I had to pick one in January. But yeah, so that's all I have to say about that book. I'll definitely, if you want to know more about that, you can listen to my review on the book. And so the last book that I read in January was Everywhere and Every Way by Jennifer Probst. And this is part of her Billionaire Builders series, which is a three-part series. And it's kind of like the same thing where it's based on three brothers. They are super rich, but in the way where they are part of this family-owned construction company, and they're basically self-made. And so I thought that was, I always like those self-made billionaire, millionaire kind of people. So with this one, their father just passed away, and so part of the father's will was that the three brothers work together to not rebuild the company, but kind of make the company even better and bring it back as a family kind of business, because after their mother died, they all kind of separated and did their own thing and kind of developed themselves and came into their own skin and all that. And so now that the father died, as part of his will, he wants them all to come back together and kind of just rediscover what it means to be a family and work together and grow their business. And so this first book deals with Caleb, who is the oldest brother, and he is tasked with building this house for this high profile like celebrity couple, and the designer that they got to do it was Morgan. And so she comes in and she says that I have to get you guys to do it because you are very well known, very well respected within this community where they want to have their house. And they butt heads a lot. And I think it's really, really cute watching them fall in love. He's one of those like grouchy types, and she's very like open and very new age and all that stuff. So it was really, really fun watching them kind of like crack each other's skin or like crack each other's boxes and kind of just open each other up and fall in love. So yeah, I think it was a really decent start to a good series. And I ended up reading the other two books in February, and we'll talk more about that later on. But yeah, as far as like contemporary romance goes, I really enjoyed this book. Did I say it was a contemporary romance? It's an adult contemporary romance book, just so you guys know. And I actually gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. And because I really, really liked it. And also because I listened to this, and the two narrators are Sebastian York and Madeline Mabie, and they're a couple of my favorite narrators. I really enjoy listening to them. And so they made the story a lot even better than what it was. So it was really, really fun. And yeah, if you're looking for like a light read and just a quick book to make you fall in love with a couple, then you definitely can't go wrong with this book. And it's actually my first book from Jennifer Probst, and I really, really enjoyed it. So Moonlight Sins and Everywhere and Every Way probably be my two favorites of the month. So yeah, a couple of really bad books, a couple okay books, and one really good book. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was my best reading month, but certainly it was a different one. So yeah, that is what I read in January. February, honestly, is a lot better. I read more books, and a lot of them were better. And I guess I had a better time with a few of them. So I look forward to talking about that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I would love to know what you guys think about any of the books that I mentioned. And yeah, if you guys have any feedback at all about any of the other episodes that I put out there, I would love to know your thoughts. Definitely contact me on social media. I guess probably Twitter would be the easiest one but you're welcome to contact me on Instagram or anything like that. And, or my blog, I have the link to my blog within the information, section. And then also my blog has the link to all of my social media accounts and all that. So, so I think that's it for me today. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you all next time. Bye.